What up,
hey,
what up, what up,
everybody.
y'all? My name is Jamar.
And I'm Brianna.
And welcome to the Safe Word Podcast, episode 9. That's how you say 9, right?
In Spanish, yes.
Yeah. Nerf, if you, speaking Creole or French.
Nerf. Like
not,
a Nerf ball.
Not Nerf. Not Nerf, like a Nerf ball. Nerf.
Okay, I'm not even going to try that one.
Gosh. Welcome back to another exciting episode. A lot has happened.
Yeah.
If you don't know, sometimes we pre-record videos just to make sure that we can get them out to you guys in time. So since the last time that we recorded, we had a major weekend. We had 2 major weekends, actually. The first one was Carnival.
Yeah.
My goodness, what a blast.
Amazing.
That was. We go on a regular basis. That's actually how we met. And we'll talk more about that in a future episode. Trust me, we're going to have a lot of time to dive into that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to take a second to circle back to, I think it was our first or second episode, and see if the question's answer still stands. So do you still feel the same way about how you felt last time? And just for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm just going to flash backwards and give you guys a little taste of what we talked about.
Are you okay with your partner dancing at parties with other people? Well, for me, I'm completely okay with my partner dancing.
Bend over, practice.
So, do you still feel like you're okay with your partner dancing with other people at Carnival?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, considering we didn't really see each other that much in Carnival. I think
Thanks to him.
I think that her answer, I guess it's passable. But I will say,
I don't care. It's Carnival. Like, have fun.
okay.
I'm not going to be all up on you. Even, we were not in the same band, thanks to him. But even if we were
You
in the
say
same
things
band,
to me like it's a bad thing.
Anyway, we weren't in the same band, but even if we were, like, I wouldn't care. Like, I would be like, go dance, have fun. Don't worry about me.
I find that very hard to believe, but I digress. After Carnival weekend, we also had our very own FAU homecoming weekend.
Sure did.
Okay, and that was bananas.
A blast.
It was amazing. The homecoming barbecue that we had on Saturday, Three Kings brunch that we had on Sunday. Shout out to Three Kings.
Yes, shout out to
There
y'all.
were a lot of things going on that weekend. Legends, Ono, the tailgate on Friday. Man, it was a good time to be an owl. So with that being said, I'm going to jump right into what our safe word is for the week. And I think it's appropriately chosen this week. Our safe word is homecoming. Yes, so for those of you who don't know, if you feel like you're about to say something that might be contradictory, or if you feel like you're going to say something that might get people staring at you or the record scratched a little bit, that's when you say homecoming. And you say what's on your mind. Express yourself in the safe space. Okay?
Please.
So, are you ready to dive right in?
Sure am.
Okay, excellent. So the first question is going to be, what's the difference between being in love with somebody and loving somebody?
What's the difference between loving someone and being in love with someone?
Mm-hmm.
So, what I think, the difference between loving someone, when you love somebody, I feel like, there are kind of different stages to loving someone, and there's also different kinds of love. Like, you can love your family, your mom and dad, you can love your best friend, and then you can love your boyfriend or girlfriend. Even though there's like different types of love, I feel like they kind of all have the same, I guess, maybe characteristics. Like, if you love someone, you're gonna do stuff for them if they ask you, or you may go out of your way, or however you love someone, whatever your I guess love language or whatever it is. You carry that out when you love somebody. When you're in love with someone, I feel like that's a distinct difference, because I'm in love with you. I can't imagine living my life without you. I can't imagine going a day and knowing that you're not there. I want to be where you are. Wherever life takes us, I want to make sure that we're doing it together. Like, I feel like that type of love is being in love with someone versus just loving someone, loving who they are as a person versus you can't see yourself without that person. You know what I mean? So I guess as a general basis, like I feel like that's probably what the difference is between loving someone and being in love with someone. Like you can't imagine life without them. So that's my quick answer.
Okay. Well, I think I agree with you for the most part. I think that when you love someone, you can love many people. You can love, like you said, you can love your parents, you can love your family, you can love your friends, you can love your dog or your pet. You can even love your ex, someone who you're no longer with. However, I believe that when you're in love with somebody, you can only be in love with one person. And that's the person that you're in love with, your partner, or whoever that may be. Because unfortunately, there are people who are in love with people who they're not with, which is horrible. But when you're in love with someone, that is your person. That's your partner. That's someone who you want to do life with, who, the first person that you want to tell something to is that person. The last person that you want to talk to when you go to sleep is that person. The person that, is your best friend, essentially. And, we all have best friends outside of our partners and whatnot, like our best guy friend, our best girlfriend, etc. But your best friend should be, like your ultimate best friend should be your partner that you're in love with. And there's certain designations and reservations for that person. Now, like I said, going back to the reason why I mentioned the ex thing is because there's a lot of people who claim that they love someone and then like 2 months later they break up, or a year later they break up, or whatever. And I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm just spitting facts. Like, you could say that you're in love with somebody, and you may feel like that at the time. You may be in love with that person, but once you fall out of love, the love doesn't just go away. So like, you can have an ex and you could have loved them at one point, or have been in love with them at that one point, and it's okay to understand that you always have a love for that person. Mm-hmm. However, it's not the same type of love that you would equate to, the romantic love, like what the Bible says, agape love, the real deal, unconditional love, the love that a man has for a woman, or a husband has for a wife, or whoever. Love is love, in the same equal sense as a parent has for their child. It's not a romantic love, but it's an unconditional love, mm-hmm. all the same. So yeah. I want to make that distinction that you can love many people, but to be in love, I believe you can only be in love with one person. I think that's the distinction. I think that's what the difference is. But we'd love to know what you think. So please make sure that you go ahead and comment, join the safe space. Let us know what your thoughts are. Let us know if you disagree with both of us, or if you agree with us, let us know why. Just come on in.
Let us know if you're in love with multiple people.
Let us know if you think you're in love with multiple people. Because I said what I said.
I said what I said.
Yeah, and we definitely appreciate everyone who chimes in and comments on our stuff, and lets us know in person, that they're watching, first of all, and that they dig what we got to say. And we invite everyone to come on into the safe space, okay? We have cookies, we have milk, we have everything you need. Who doesn't like milk and cookies?
We don't have milk and cookies, though. Okay.
All right, so let's move on to topic number 2.
Okay, so question number 2 is, what happens if you don't get along with your partner's friends?
So we're keeping the romance thing going for a little bit. What happens when you don't get along with your partner's friends?
Yeah. What happens? What do you do? What does your partner do? What do your friends do?
I'll tell you straight up, that's an awkward position to be in.
Very.
I personally, unfortunately, have never been in that situation. So I really can't tell you personally what I would do, or rather what I've done in the past. I can only tell you what I would do. I happen to be a very agreeable person. And on the surface level, I really get along with everybody. It's when you get to know me that I may rub you the wrong way. But I've always gotten along with all of my ex's friends, and whatever, regardless of what my opinions are of my ex's friends or my current girlfriend's friends, that I feel like that has no bearing on the emotion, not emotion, but the I guess the fact that I'm cordial with everybody. You know, I may not like you, and you never even know, because I'm never gonna be rude to your face for no reason, because I respect my girlfriend. So on the other side, when you don't get along with your partner's friends, I think the best thing that you can do is to respect the role that they have as your partner's friend, and do your best to support, you know, her and her choice to be friends with them. Because the worst thing you can do is try to pull them apart just because you don't get along with that person, because then it's gonna backfire on you, especially if they know they've known their friend longer than they know you. It's not a good move. So you can definitely ruin your relationship just by trying to manipulate your partner's relationship with their friends. So that's what I think.
Cool. Well, me on the other hand, I have been in that situation before. I've been in a relationship where I didn't necessarily get along with a certain friend, and it was a close friend of the person that I was dating. And there was definitely a lot of tension. And I'm sure there was a lot of tension for that person too, because it's like you have two people who you love and care about very much, and they're at odds with each other. So it's like, how do you deal with that, you know? But it definitely is an awkward position. And I mean, I guess to answer the what if question, I don't even know. Like, I tried to I really tried to not like be a nasty person to this particular friend, but I just really didn't like them. And anyone who knows me, like, they know that I wear my feelings and emotions on my sleeve. Like, if I don't like you, you're gonna know. Unlike you, like how you said, like if you don't like somebody, they may not know because you're not gonna. Yeah, I'm not that. You will know if I don't like you. Trust me. I can't hide it. It's very, very, very difficult for me to hide how I feel about you. So I really tried not to be a nasty person, but I did make it known that I did not like that person to them, and also to the person that I was dating. So there was a lot of tension, and you know, we ended up not working out, but it is what it is. And I mean, sorry.
She's not sorry. She's not sorry. She feels the way she feels, and
I mean, do.
She has the prerogative to feel that way. Do you think that if you would go back in time, you would handle your reaction to their friends differently? Actually, you know what? Scratch that question. More importantly, if you didn't get along with my friends, would you feel comfortable enough to let me know?
Absolutely.
Would you feel a certain way when I go hang out with them? Would you, you know, would you want me not to hang out with them?
Well, I think it's circumstantial in this case. Like, even with that particular situation, like the whole reason behind me not liking them was like a circumstantial. It wasn't just because, oh, I don't like you because, you know, whatever. Like, it was a circumstantial thing. There was a reason why. So because of that reason, that's why I felt the way I felt. With you and your friends, if there was a specific reason why I didn't like them, then yeah, I would probably not feel comfortable with you hanging out with them. I would never tell you, no, I don't want you to hang out with them, or no, I don't feel comfortable with you hanging out with them, because I don't want to put you in that awkward predicament. But I would tell you, like, you know, I don't necessarily like them, or I kind of feel a certain type of way about them, or whatever.
Would you never tell me?
No, I wouldn't tell you that I don't want you hanging out with them.
I feel like there's some instances where it's probably warranted. Like, if your friend is consistently, you know, in bad environments, if that person is robbing banks, or
that's different.
If that person is, or let's be more practical. If I had a friend who is a known dog and like just has a girlfriend but doesn't care, just like slaying every girl that he can, and my girlfriend knew that, and you knew that, would you feel comfortable with me hanging out with that person?
Absolutely not.
So don't you think that you would say, you know what, babe, that's not a good influence on you?
Something like that is different. If they're a bad influence on you and I don't like them because of that, then yeah, that's different. But if I don't like them because of my own personal reasons, that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you, then I don't think I would tell you that I don't want you to hang out with them. But if it's something that they're doing that's jeopardizing the relationship or your moral character, then yeah, I would be like, no, I don't want you to hang out with them because of X, Y, and Z. So again, it's circumstantial.
Well, I will end my portion of this question with a disclaimer. Homecoming. Although I said what I said earlier, I will say this. If I feel as though my girlfriend's friends are a negative influence on her and a negative influence on our relationship, I think that it would be in the relationship's best interest to communicate that. And now I'm not talking about if I just don't like the way the person talks or I don't like the way the person is or whatever, but if I feel like that person is a detriment to my friend, to my girlfriend, excuse me, I think that I would have to find a way to let that be known in the nicest way possible, and like I said, in a non-threatening way. Because what's going to end up happening is, we talked about it a few episodes ago, you know, the company you keep is a description of who you are. So if your friend is bad news bears, then I feel like it's going to reflect on you. And the last thing that I would want to do is, you know, deal with someone who is influencing you to do things negatively, because all it does is tear us apart. So
That's true.
run tell that. If I feel as though you're a bad influence on my friend, then I don't want you near her. And by friend, I mean girlfriend.
I was about to say.
That's what I meant.
Cool. And you've never been in that situation before with like previous relationships where you felt like they had friends that you didn't necessarily think were the best influence on them?
I mean, not really. I've had friends that I felt, I'm sorry, I had situations where, you know, my exes have had friends that I didn't think were, I guess, as well behaved. Not even well behaved, but I didn't think that they were the best influences, but they weren't bad influences. They just might have been a little ratchet. But I've never been in a situation where I could look at a friend and be like, that person is gonna end up, you know, ruining the other person's life, or running that person into the ground, or, you know, making their credit bad, something. You know, I've never had, thank God, I've never had that situation. But I have had situations where I'm like, dang, that person is not, I wouldn't be friends with that person, but, you know, it's not like the end of the world.
Got you.
Yeah. Okay. What do y'all think? Talk to us. Let me hear. Make sure you guys comment below. Let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, what do you think about your partner's friends?
Mm-hmm.
And hey, let us in on the story time. If you got stories, I want to hear them. We want to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
So
we want the tea, sis.
We want the tea.
We want the tea. All right. So speaking of tea, question number 3. Ooh, I did that.
You did that.
I did that.
You did that.
Okay, did. Wet. So question number 3 is gonna be an interesting question. So I'll ask it because I'm sure that I have an idea of what she's gonna say. What do you do when you don't get along with your boss? And let me repeat that. What do you do when you don't get along with your boss?
Well, funny you should ask that. Okay, so is the question like, what should you do, or like, what would you do in that instance?
You can give me both perspectives if you want.
Well, okay. What you should do if you don't get along with your boss, me being the Christian girl that I am. You should definitely carry out your work as if you're working for the Lord. So basically, do your work to the best of your ability. If your boss is being an a-hole, you know, you still have to show them respect. You still have to be nice. And, you know, God will deal with them how he sees fit. But ultimately, you're supposed to still do your work and not have an attitude and not complain, as hard as that may be, because believe me, I know. It's very difficult. But you should still do your work, still to the best of your ability, still be nice, still be respectful, and, you know, respect your authority and all of that stuff. Now, what I did, because I was actually in this situation before, so you guys are actually getting a little insight about my life, well, my previous life. I used to work for a company, and I had a boss that I actually got along with up until a certain point, and up until that point, when I got to that point, I started to get very, very frustrated and borderline angry, because I felt like I was being treated a certain way, and I felt like I was the only one being treated that way. I felt like I was being singled out. I felt like my other coworkers were not getting the same treatment, and it made me very angry. So I ended up resigning. But before I did that, I spoke to this particular boss and the boss that's above both of us, because she was actually my supervisor. I spoke to her, I spoke to the boss above us about the situation a few times. I didn't feel like anything was being done about it, so I ended up going to HR. It was a whole big thing, and I ended up resigning. And I told her, I was like, honestly, like, I don't like the way you've been treating me. And I tried to be as respectful as I could, because at the end of the day, that's still my boss, and that's still someone who I report to, and I'm still supposed to, I was taught that I'm supposed to respect my authority no matter what. So I tried to be as respectful as I could, but it was very difficult for me. And I basically kind of lashed out on her and basically was like, you know, I don't need this. I don't need it, and I don't want it, right? wait. I was like, look, I'm not dealing with this, okay? And I basically told her to her face, I was like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm resigning. I'll give you my 2 weeks. Y'all can have that. Peace. That's basically what I did. And I ended up resigning. So that's what I did. Don't take after me, kids. But you should still be respectful and everything. But at the same time, if you feel like your mental health is being jeopardized and you feel like you're in a place where you really just don't want to be and you're miserable, then you need to leave. And that's what I did. So, yeah.
Shoot.
And story time.
I tell you, it's hard. It is very hard to work in conditions where you don't get along with your supervisor. I will just start off by saying that you'll know that I have a lot of influence from the church, because you may not know this, but I was born Catholic and raised Catholic, and I'm now of the Christian faith, but I've been in the church world all my life. And the Bible says when you cannot respect the person, you respect the position. So when you have a boss that really grinds your gears and you can't stand, the Bible says to respect the position and to still do your job in a respectful way. However, we're not always perfect, and we always have to keep in mind that sometimes we fall short of the kingdom of God. So I'm gonna just tell you that sometimes you just have to say FDB to that situation. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, well, listen to that Young Joe song. And there are many situations where you don't get along with your boss, and you really just gotta grin and bear it. I'm the type of person, I always want to look for, I never like to burn bridges. I always want to look for a letter of recommendation, because you never know where that may take you. I've really tried hard not to burn bridges, so I literally will find another job, get hired, and give my 2 weeks notice, and it is what it is. there have been situations where the boss is so bad that the whole team felt the same way, and the superior had to, remove that person from their post because everybody was complaining. If everyone is complaining, it's not them, it's you. Okay, buddy.
Okay, sweetheart.
Okay, bucko. So, I guess I'll just end by saying, as hard as it is, keep in mind when you cannot respect the person, respect the position. Don't make a fool out of yourself by acting carrying out and acting all big and bad, because that's not your place. Just do your job, drink your water, and mind your business, and it will all get sorted out in the end. As hard as it may be.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what you were saying, like also, you want to make sure that you're still doing a good job and being respectful and all of that, because you never know when you're going to need them as a reference or something. Like you don't want to burn bridges. You never know. Life is really funny like that. And you never know when you're going to need them, when you're going to need like a letter of recommendation, when you're going to need a reference, whatever the case may be. You really just don't want to get on their bad side, even though it can be really, listen, I know you want to cuss them out.
And in the moment, you're probably like, I don't need this,
Right.
I don't care about this letter of recommendation, or I don't care about this job, whatever. But because you're in that position, you need it more than you think you do. So, just add a little humility to your daily regimen and deal with it until you can move somewhere else. And it not only will it humble you, but it will grow you. It'll stretch you to be able to receive whatever blessing you got coming up next time. Because there'll be situations where you have a boss that's completely just out of this world, annoying or unprofessional or whatever, and you'll deal with that. It'll grow your muscles, and when the time you're the boss in your company or in your own business or whatever, you're gonna have the muscles, the skills, and the knowledge and the memory to not be like that, and to make sure that nobody in your company is like that. So.
And you never know. You could always use those skills that you learned in that job for like your new job or your next job. I've seen it happen before. So you never know. You never know. Just make sure you do a good job.
For sure. Speaking of never know, we don't know yet what you guys think on these topics. So please go ahead and comment below. Make sure you hit us up on Instagram at The Safe Word Podcast. You guys can also email us at thesafewordpodcast@gmail.com, or rather, thesafewordpodcast@gmail.com, and just let us know what your questions are. We are getting some questions from some members of our safe space, and we are ruling them in as we get them. So make sure you participate so we can get those questions answered. I think that's it for tonight, right?
That's a wrap.
That's it.
That's it.
Dead?
Dead.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.